200 Windows servers just failed with WinRM transport failed. The root cause? A Kerberos double hop problem. The WinRM client couldn't delegate credentials to access a network share. Here's exactly why. First, let's understand the basics of WinRM authentication. Welcome to TheCodeForge. Before we dig into that production issue, let's cover Ansible Windows Automation. Ansible Windows Automation uses the WinRM Connection plugin to talk to Windows Remote Management. You get a suite of Win modules for services, packages, files, and commands. The core problem it solves is enabling idempotent, agentless configuration management for Windows. First, configure WinRM on each Windows host. Run Enable PS Remoting Force, create an HTTPS listener with a self-signed certificate, open firewall ports, and set trusted hosts for cross-domain connections. This PowerShell snippet creates a self-signed certificate, sets up an HTTPS listener, opens the firewall, and configures trusted hosts to allow connections from any host. In your Ansible inventory, define Windows hosts with the WinRM connection, choose an authentication transport, and provide credentials. Never put plaintext passwords in inventory files. Use Ansible Vault or environment variables. Here's a simple inventory entry. Note the Ansible connection equals WinRM and Ansible WinRM server cert validation equals ignore for self-signed certs. In production, use Ansible Vault to encrypt the password. Ansible supports 3 main authentication transports. NTLM works for workgroup and simple setups. Kerberos is faster but requires domain-joined hosts. CredSSP enables credential delegation for double-hop scenarios. This playbook tests all 3 authentication protocols by overriding the transport variable per task. It pings each and displays the results. The WinRM Connection plugin has many configuration variables. Set timeouts like Ansible WinRM Operation Timeout sec for long-running tasks. Always use HTTPS in production and test with verbose output. Here's an example of advanced inventory variables for the WinRM plugin. Note the increased timeouts to accommodate long-running PowerShell scripts. The WinService module manages Windows services. It's idempotent and can set the service state and start mode. You can also restart services with their dependencies. This playbook demonstrates starting and stopping the spooler service, then retrieving its status with WinServiceInfo. The WinPackage module installs or uninstalls software. You need the producted for idempotency. If the installer is on a network share, you'll hit the double hop problem. Use CredSSP or copy the installer locally first. This playbook installs 7-zip and Notepad++ from URLs. Note the producted and silent installation arguments. The WinCopy module copies files from the control node to the Windows host via SMB. For network shares, set remote SRC. Yes, but remember the double hop problem. Use CredSSP or copy locally first. This playbook shows copying a file and directory to the Windows host and fetching a file back to the control node using the fetch module. Use WinCommand for simple commands like ipconfig and WinShell for anything involving PowerShell pipelines or complex scripts. WinShell runs via PowerShell by default. This playbook compares WinCommand and WinShell. WinCommand runs ipconfig, while WinShell runs a PowerShell script that pings a list of computers. For complex automation, write PowerShell scripts and execute them with WinShell. Always set error action preference equals, stop, and return data as JSON for easy parsing. Increase Ansible WinRM pipeline timeout sec for long scripts. This playbook runs an inline PowerShell script to list running services, and also executes an external script file with arguments. For large-scale deployment, automate WinRM configuration using group policy or PowerShell DSC. You can also use Ansible to bootstrap itself. First run with NTLM over HTTP, then switch to Kerberos over HTTPS. This playbook configures WinRM on multiple hosts, sets trusted hosts, creates an HTTPS listener, and opens the firewall port. Common issues include WinRM service not running, firewall blocking ports, certificate validation failures, and the double hop problem. Always check the service, firewall, and authentication settings. This playbook fixes the double hop issue by enabling CredSSP, increases WinRM timeouts, and tests the connection. For tasks that require multiple commands in a single session, use a PSSession within WinShell. This preserves state but adds overhead. Increase max shells per user if you hit limits. This playbook creates a PSSession to another server, runs a command, and removes the session. Enable detailed logging with VVVV and Ansible log path. On Windows, enable WinRM operational logs and set a max size. Centralize logs for troubleshooting. This playbook enables WinRM logging and retrieves the most recent log entries. This is the same issue we highlighted at the start. Here's exactly why that happened. The WinCopy module failed with access denied when copying from a UNC path. WinRM with NTLM cannot delegate credentials to a second hop, the file server. That's the double hop problem. The fix was to switch to CredSSP authentication. We set Ansible WinRM transport equals CredSSP and enabled CredSSP on the target with enable WSMan CredSSP. Now credentials are delegated, and WinCopy works with UNC paths. Using WinCopy with a UNC path without CredSSP causes access denied because NTLM cannot delegate credentials. Always use CredSSP or copy locally first. Default timeouts are 60 seconds. A script that sleeps for 120 seconds will timeout. Increase Ansible WinRM pipeline timeout sec to accommodate long-running tasks. Win command runs via CMD, exe, which doesn't recognize PowerShell CMDlets. Use WinShell for PowerShell commands. Large PowerShell script output can exceed the default MaxEnvelopeSizekb of 500 KB, causing silent failures. Increase it on the target with setitem wsman /localhost /MaxEnvelopeSizekb value 2048 to avoid truncated responses. Use a Bootstrap playbook to configure WinRM on fresh Windows hosts before managing them. This snippet runs over WinRM with NTLM and HTTP, then switches to HTTPS and Kerberos for subsequent runs. CredSSP delegation requires the group policy setting allow delegating fresh credentials with NTLM-only server authentication under computer configuration, administrative template system, credentials delegation. Without it, enable WSMan CredSSP role server alone may not work. To diagnose issues, start with a verbose WinPing. On the target, check the WinRM service, firewall, and trusted hosts. Use test WSMan to verify WinRM is responding. Let's run through some common interview questions. What is the double hop problem? WinRM can't delegate credentials to a second hop. Use CredSSP. Difference between WinCommand and WinShell? WinCommand uses CMD, exe. WinShell uses PowerShell. How to configure a Windows host for Ansible? Enable PS remoting, set trusted hosts, open firewall. And a few frequently asked questions. What is the double hop problem? WinRM can't delegate credentials. Use CredSSP. How to find producted for WinPackage? Run getWMI object Win32 product on target. Why does WinCopy fail with UNC paths? Double hop. Use CredSSP or copy locally. To wrap up, configure WinRM properly, choose the right authentication protocol, increase timeouts for long tasks, use WinShell for PowerShell, and always use CredSSP when you need to access network shares. Log everything for troubleshooting. Ready to go deeper? Up next, Ansible Network Automation, then Introduction to Google Cloud Platform, then GCP versus Amazon Web Services versus Azure. Find them all at TheCodeForge.io. Thanks for watching. The full article and code examples are covered in detail at TheCodeForge.io.